In addition to my last video about the dominant pentatonic scale, I want to talk about the backdoor progression, because it's great to combine the two subjects. Now, to make music we can use all kinds of common chord progressions like the turnaround, 12-bar blues, the Andalusian cadence, the commercial 6-4-1-5 cadence, and of course the 2-5-1 in all its variations and so on. Now, all these progressions are diatonic, which means that the chords in that progression fall within the key. The backdoor progression, however, which name was given by theorist Jerry Coker, is different and sounds darker and surprising, yet it is also a very common composition tool. Yeah. Now, this video is all about that backdoor progression, so let's see what's the buzz. Now, to follow this tutorial without problems, you only need to know what a major and a minor scale is. And you have to understand the Roman numeral system. And you have to know a little bit about the tonic, subdominant and dominant. That's all. Now, what we are going to do in this crystal clear tutorial is to see what a backdoor progression really is. And we learn about the backdoor dominant and see why this works. Now learn about the Backdoor II-V-I, and we'll learn about the Backdoor Dominant as an expansion of the minor 4-1 progression. Finally, we'll look at some interesting variations of the backdoor progression. Now, what is a backdoor progression? Well, in the end, all cadences and progressions want to resolve back to the home chord, which is most likely the tonic of the scale or key. Now, first of all, a backdoor progression must be seen as another way to get back to the tonic. A traditional way to get back to the tonic would be the good old 2-5-1 progression used in all kinds of styles, but particularly in jazz. Now, the 2-5-1 in C major would be a D minor 7 to G dominant 7 to C major progression. And for the sake of the analogy, we could name this progression the front door progression, or the front door 2-5-1. Now, you heard this probably a million times and it sounds like this. Now, a backdoor progression takes another route. It commonly goes from the minor 4 to the flat 7 and then to the tonic. So in C major that would be an F minor chord or an F minor 7 to B flat dominant 7 to C major 7. And it sounds like this. Now, besides all this, the backdoor progression is a non-diatonic progression, just like the tritone substitution, if you're familiar with that. Anyway, this means that the progression has notes outside the key you are playing in, and for that it sounds different and surprising. Now, in our example, the notes A flat and E flat in the F minor 7 chord and the notes B flat and A flat in the B flat dominant 7 chord are outside the key of C major. Now, later we will see that precisely these notes make this backdoor progression work. Now, to understand how the backdoor progression works, we should know something about the most important part of the progression, and that is the dominant chord in the backdoor progression. Now, the backdoor dominant chord is always a whole step lower in pitch than the tonic to which it resolves. Or we could say that the backdoor dominant always resolves to a chord that is a whole step higher. So in the progression F minor 7, B flat 7, C major 7, the B flat 7 is the backdoor dominant. And it sounds like a dominant, but at the same time it's a very mild dominant sound, much milder than the dominant 5th degree within the key. Just listen to the two chords resolving to the tonic, C major 7. Now, this smooth transition to the tonic is the reason that it's often used in soul and R&B, for instance. The flat 7 degree can be seen as a borrowed chord from the C minor scale, and this borrowing from parallel keys or even modes is called modal interchange, a technique that is common in soul, jazz and R&B. Just think of Stevie Wonder, who was a master of modal interchange. Now, another way to experience the sound of a backdoor dominant is to hear it as a 4th degree in a plagal cadence. And this seems impossible, but if we look close to the B flat 7 chord, we can approach this as an F minor 6 chord with a B flat in the bass. So F minor 6 over B flat. So that is why the dominant B flat 7 sounds almost like a subdominant F minor 6. Strange, right? Now, the backdoor dominant can have colorful alterations and extensions. In a major key, this could be the 9 and 13. Like the 9th in a B flat dominant 9 to C major 7 cadence. Or a 13 in a B flat dominant 7-13 to C major 7 cadence. Now there are two reasons why a backdoor dominant works. The first thing is that the flat 7th degree has similarities with the minor 4th degree, as we just have seen in the previous chapter. And therefore it sounds a little bit like a commonly used minor variant of the plagal 4-1. But from a strict harmonical point of view, the dominant flat 7 has two notes in common with the traditional dominant 5th degree. The notes D and F are the common notes in both chords, and they connect the two chords in an harmonical sense. In the G7 chord, the notes B and F resolve upwards and downwards to the notes E and C of the C major chord. Now we could say that it is an outward resolve from a closed interval to a wider interval, or an inward resolve from a wider interval to a closed interval. In the B flat 7 chord, the notes F and A flat resolve both downwards to the notes E and G of the C major chord. It's a parallel movement of notes, and this is experienced as a less defined resolve. How the notes of the G7 and the B flat 7 chord resolve to C major gets clear with this figure representing the chromatic scale. The orange line connects the notes from the B flat 7 chord, and the blue line connects the notes from the G7 chord. The arrows show the resolve of the leading tones F to E, A flat to G, and B to C. In general, the Backdoor II-V-I has a smooth voice leading and therefore sounds appealing. Now, if there's a backdoor 5-1 cadence, then there must also be a 2-5-1 backdoor cadence. So, how do we find that 2 chord? Well, in C major, the backdoor dominant is a B flat dominant 7 chord, because this is the flat 7th degree in the key of C major. That we already know. Now let's look at the 2-5-1 cadence. Now we can find the 2 chord in two ways. Find the 2 chord in relation to the 5 chord, or find the 2 chord in relation to the implied tonic where the backdoor dominant would lead to. Now in a 2-5-1 cadence, the 2 chord has a 5-1 relationship with the 5 chord. If B flat is the root of the 5 chord, then F must be the root of the 2 chord, because F is the 5th note in the B flat major scale, hence the 5-1 relationship. So a backdoor 2-5-1 will look like this: F minor 7, B flat 7, C major 7. So the formula for a 2-5-1 backdoor cadence is the minor 4th to the flat 7 to the tonic. Another way to find the 2 chord is to know to which key or tonic chord the backdoor dominant would lead, and then find the 2nd degree in that key. Now if B flat dominant 7 is the 5th degree and the dominant chord, then the tonic and key is E flat major. In E flat major the 2nd degree is F minor 7. So the 2 chord will be an F minor 7 chord. And it's very important to understand that our ears expect the F minor 7 B flat 7 progression to lead to the E flat major chord, because the progression strongly suggests a 2-5-1 cadence in E flat major. But in a backdoor situation it doesn't resolve to E flat major. Instead, it resolves to the C major chord, and that severely surprises the listener. So again, the formula for a 2-5-1 backdoor cadence is the minor 4th to the flat 7th to the tonic. Now if you would like to construct a backdoor dominant progression in another key, say E major, then the backdoor dominant would be the dominant chord that lies a whole step lower than the tonic. In E major that would be the D dominant 7 chord. And this is the flat 7th degree in E major. The 2 chord in relation to the backdoor dominant is an A minor 7 chord, because A and D have a 5-1 relationship. The cadence A minor 7 to D7 would normally lead to G major, because A minor 7 to D dominant 7 to G major 7 is a perfect 2-5-1 cadence in the key of G major. But now the cadence leads to E major. Et voila, we have created a backdoor 2-5-1 cadence. A minor 7, D dominant 7, E major 7. Minor 4th degree to the flat dominant 7th degree to the tonic in the key of E major. So now we know how to construct such a remarkable backdoor progression. We will discover some backdoor variations that sound even more astonishing than the thing itself. Just don't fall off your chair. Now there are some interesting alternatives or chord variations for the backdoor progression. And a very well-known alternative is named after a game that it was written for. It is the Mario cadence used in the Nintendo Super Mario games when you reach this silly castle. I think I shot Mario in Black Ops 2 altogether. Anyway, in the Mario cadence, the minor 4 is substituted by a major flat 6th degree. And that major flat 6 is the relative major of the minor 4, so that's why it works. All these chords are major chords with a tonal distance of 2 times a whole step. Now we have to understand that the major flat 6th degree and the major flat 7th degree are borrowed from the parallel minor key. And this makes it the proper modal interchange. Now we can jazzify this by adding the 7th. So we'll get A flat major 7, B flat major 7 and C major 7. Now a very nice alternative for the previous progression is to substitute the major flat 6, A flat, for the B flat 11 chord, which is in fact an A flat over B flat. Now this alters the sound in the direction of the 70s and 80s soul and Motown pop. You can use this in the standard progression in one key and switch to the backdoor progression, but now leaving the key instead of getting back into the key. Now in this example, in the key of E flat major, we use the 4 and the 5 chord to get to the C major chord that is not part of the E flat major key. In this way, we have created a backdoor progression like this. Now playing the minor 6th degree before the backdoor dominant results also in a familiar sound. In C major that would be the A minor chord preceding the B flat 7 chord, resolving to the C major chord. And this works because the 6th degree A minor has common notes with the plagal 4th degree F major. And this works well with A flat 7th degree. Now another example of the use of the backdoor progression is to proceed the minor 4 chord with a 2-5-1 in the key of that minor 4 chord. Now in a backdoor progression in C major, the minor 4 chord is F minor 7. The 2-5-1 in F minor 7 is G minor 7 to C dominant 7 to F minor 7. Subsequently, the progression moves on to the backdoor dominant B flat 7 to resolve to the tonic C major, like this. Now I always end with a conclusion. And what would be the conclusion of this lesson? Well, I would say that the backdoor progression is a great tool for adding something special when writing songs. The way back to the tonic is sonic appealing and smoother than the common dominant 5th degree, and it surprises the listener. With all the variations on the backdoor dominant, you can use it in different ways, each time creating a slightly different effect. So whenever you're stuck with writing a progression, come to the back door instead of the front door. People will either be surprised or you get hit by a baseball bat. Simple as that. Bye for now, and I see you next time.